Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Look, man, Terence Crawford has to find peace. He's got to find peace before he goes crazy. I mean, he just, what they did to him really messed him up, man, to where he just can't let it go. Look, he beat the guy who beat several champions, and he beat the guy who most people felt could beat Canelo. And I'm talking about Terence Crawford. I'm talking about Earl Spence. And so for Terence Crawford to have defeated Earl Spence, it's like, to me, it's like he basically, in my opinion, it's like he beat everybody at 147. He beat everybody at 154. Probably beat everybody at 160. That's just how big of an accomplishment it is for him to have, one-sidedly, tranquilized Earl Spence. But when I read these tweets, like this has been floating around for the last couple of days, and I never really sat down and read them. I kind of heard about it, and then I watched a little bit of a fight hype video, I think, and I was just like, he needs to just chill out. You know what I'm saying? Listen a whole lot and talk very little. But when I came back and tonight, since I have time, since my sons are sleeping, I said, let me kind of read through these tweets and just listen to them talking about, it's funny how all these fighters want to fight now, but back then, all they could say was, I haven't fought nobody. Now they begging, looking for a check. Now, my thing is this. If you go dwelling in the past, you'll miss out on all future opportunities. And Terence Crawford's still dwelling in the past. This man, he's where everybody wants to be right now, but he's still worried about things like, there's no need to even be, bad-minded and nefarious and want to twist their arm and look at me now. You know what I'm saying? That's corny. They want to be in his position. Then the other tweet, all these fighters that was claiming to be their own bosses was hiding behind the term call Al. Now they talking like they can fight whoever they want. Boy, y'all some pawns. Go sit down. Look, Crawford. This thing, I'm not saying I disagree with what he's saying, but what I'm saying is not everybody was. I think if Crawford was being treated the way Al Heyman treated his fighters, if Top Rank was treating him like that, I think Crawford would still be with Top Rank. So Crawford was kind of forced out of Top Rank. So, yeah, he's standing on his own too, somewhat, but that fight with Earl Spence, Crawford didn't make that happen. He had to come over there and team up with Al Heyman. So at the end of the day, Crawford still, I'm not going to say that he's a pawn because I don't think those guys are pawns either, but if you're going to call them pawns, he's a pawn too because basically Al Heyman is the one who wanted to make sure that he had Crawford for a couple fights. And, the business had to be right. But the bottom line is Crawford and Spence, they're the ones who really advocated for the fight, but it's not that Crawford did it on his own with his own promotional company. That's not how that works. So I think he needs to just, like I said initially, listen a whole lot more, talk very little because he's angry. You know what I'm saying? Y'all created a whole term. He's on the wrong side of the street. When in boxing, whenever you ever heard some crap like that. Look, it's a lot of fighters have made a career out of fighting only the people that are promoted, that are with their promoters. You know what I'm saying? One guy in particular, who's Terence Crawford's, I say the biggest cheerleader because I really think Terence Crawford must have beat his butt so bad in sparring. Talking about opening a can of whoop butt on him to where he can't say, every time he talks about Crawford, it's like, it's like he want to eat him, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Tim Bradley. There's a lot of, especially over the last 15 years, there's a lot of fighters that have, if not all, most of their fights just, fighting underneath a certain promotional banner. So it's not uncommon. These promoters are all about making their money, stacking up the stable so they can have their guys fight each other. And that's smart. But for huge fights, you would think they'd make an exception, and it does happen. But I understand what he's saying. He was asking for fights, and there were some people who would say that he's ducked people because it boils down to things having to make money. If you don't make money, it don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? And there are some instances where Crawford really wasn't chasing after certain fighters because, again, he wants to get paid too, and the Top Rank wanted to make sure that there's going to be enough money on the table to pay whoever it is that wanted to fight him. Then he goes on to say, did me dirty, had all these people that don't know anything about boxing trying to... Look, he shouldn't be worried about any YouTubers. Matter of fact, he shouldn't even worry about me. I know about boxing. I boxed. I'm not a guy who, hang on, let me calm down before I start giving y'all a peek behind my tent flaps about some of these guys who create YouTube videos, which I truly want to support everyone, but there's one person in particular who is absolutely clueless. He's never boxed. He doesn't know. He can't intelligently speak on boxing because he doesn't know it. He doesn't. He can't even sit there and break down a fight. He can't understand what's going on. There's no deep diving. He just takes something and makes up lies after lies after lies. And people, I don't know why they listen to that crap, man. But Terence Crawford can't let people like that get underneath his skin. And then this last one about they say cream always rises to the top, and it looks like I'm the last man standing. Well, you are the last man standing, at 147. And to be quite honest, if you leave 147, then it's just Boots, who I think cleans up the whole division. But nobody mad at Terence Crawford for what he's accomplished, but he has all those belts, and people are looking for the 4-for-1 deal. If he drops those belts, it's the 3-for-1 deal, and that's just how it goes in boxing. You know what I'm saying? You guys want... Matter of fact, it's only 3 because the WBC belt has been dropped already, so... Or given up or whatever the hell happened. I just know it's vacant now. So they want the 3-for-1 deal. And with Terence Crawford, I think there is a little bit more money attached to him, but I still think Terence Crawford needs the right dancing partner. I think Terence Crawford still needs the right dancing partner. I'm not saying, and when I say that, I'm not saying that he needs fighters more than they need him, but he definitely needs to have the right name to make a fight, to make the right fight so he can make the money he wants. Because I tell you what, Terence Crawford and Danny Garcia, that's a big fight. Terence Crawford and Keith Thurman, that's a big fight. Terence Crawford and Boots Ennis, that's a big fight, but not as big as Thurman and Garcia. Thurman and Stanley Eunice. Crawford and Stanley Eunice. That's a big fight, but not as big as Crawford and Thurman or Crawford and Garcia. So for Terence Crawford, I just think he needs to, if he's going to continue down this path, one name in particular that I really think Terence Crawford should fight. I really do. I think he should fight Keith Thurman. I really do. I just think that's a good feather in his cap. No one else has beaten Keith Thurman. Pacquiao came in there with his big shoes and was having to get a win over Thurman. But no, he needs to fight Thurman. Just fight him. I know he doesn't want to, but fight him. But at the end of the day, Crawford needs to find peace. Because he's just angry, man. Anger is one of the basic human emotions. Same thing as like being happy, being sad, anxious or whatever else falls underneath that umbrella, man. And I really think for him that just being angry all the time, I think that emotion came about of him just having to basically survive, man. And he just had to tweak and refine that quality of having a chip on the shoulder, just from a little kid to now being an adult. Who knows why he's always in I describe it like in the military. You used to always hear it all the time. Fight, flight, or freeze. You know what I'm saying? And I think that just has a lot to do with him. If he feels a kind of way about something, I think he tends to get a bit nervous, not scared, but a bit like the quills come out. He's like, okay, something's not right here. He starts to relive or revisit something that causes him to get on the defensive with the quickness. And I just think that it can motivate him to end up being very, very combative and maybe causing an injustice to people who really don't mean him any harm. And I think when you have anger like that, and I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't always such a nice guy who liked to smile. tell you, man, those emotions can frequently mobilize and can ruin relationships, and it can ruin your health, physical health, long term. You know, because that anger and Crawford, and you see this tweet, that's stress, man. This boxing, this professional career he's had has been nothing but stress for him. That's not okay, man. A lot of fighters go through it, and everybody has to figure out how to handle it. But for Terence Crawford, like, it shows. It really shows that this man has just been stressed. You know what I'm saying? And for those of y'all who don't know, stress will eat you up like cancer, man. Destroys the neurons and areas of the brain associated with judgment and short-term memory. Weaken your immune system, man. Like, what I'm telling y'all is facts. Like, I'm not making this up. But at the end of the day, the same way I have chronic arthritis throughout my body from just being active and not sitting on my butt, I think Terence Crawford's struggling with what I'm going to call like chronic anger. You know what I'm saying? Because if you notice with him, right, it's not out the ordinary for him to have an outburst. You know, it ain't Mike Tyson like outbursts, but it ain't nothing for someone if he starts to feel a bit angry and he feels a little bit like he's nervous or you pressing him or he doesn't like something you're saying. That whole fight, flight, or freeze thing starts to process it, man. And next thing you know, man, he starts to mobilize, and then you have the outburst. But I really hope he can figure it out how to navigate through all this, man, and hopefully he can lead to some growth and he can change and be in a better spot, because Terence Crawford's on top of the world right now. But I always say this, and my dad told me this, man. I remember when I was young, I was like 15, and I remember being a young man, and around 15, a lot of girls, man, chasing after me and my brothers, man, and guys were hating, and so as a result, I had developed a chip on my shoulder, because some guys try to test you, and then you have to basically stand up for yourself and let them know, ain't nothing pretty over here. And it got to a point with me where, I was always ready to get active. And I was ready to go beyond just getting active with my fists. And I would be talking to my dad about it, and he would just sit there. My dad was cool, man, West Indian, Trinidadian. And he would just sit there and listen to me talk. And then one day, he didn't like the things I was saying. And he said, hey, he's like, thoughts become actions. The more you think about something, the more likely it is you're going to do it. And he was like, you can travel from here all the way to the other side of the world. And he was like, if you don't change the way you think, he's like, it don't matter where you go, you're going to be angry, unhappy, and miserable, because you cannot leave your mind behind. Doesn't matter what good you have going in your life, what amount of success you accomplish in life. If you're not healthy mentally, no matter where you go, you bring that with you. He was like, and you will not be in a happy space. I was like 15 when I had that conversation. He was right. So I eventually, man, started to kind of revamp the way that I saw things. But I was still, I was still a hothead. But I used to think twice about wanting to, about how far I was willing to go if somebody was, basically trying to get under my skin. But it just reminds me of Terence Crawford, on top of the world, can't leave his mind behind, and just on the edge. And I just think it's unfortunate. But that being said, Terence Crawford had to find peace. And you know what? He has every right to be a little frustrated. But I would think he'd be sitting back more laughing at him. Not like, wanting to insult and cuss and be disrespectful and keep talking about it. It's over. You won, man. You the man. Now, he hasn't fought Danny Garcia. He hasn't fought Keith Thurman. I understand he fought Danny Garcia in the amateurs, but, hey, fight him as a pro. He already beat Spence. He already beat Porter. Terence Crawford, all he got to do is beat Thurman and Danny Garcia. Now, I think he should. Beat Thurman, beat Danny Garcia. And then you just clip those four. You the man. But, Earl Spence already beat Danny Garcia, but no one's beat Thurman. But beat Thurman. Out of everybody, beat Thurman. I ain't even worried about Boots, but beat Thurman. That's who he needs to go after, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, best of luck to Terence Crawford. But I don't think when I look at this, that's why people say my channel. I get compliments about the channel. I don't look at this and when I come out here and be like, oh yeah, Terence Crawford's going off. Nah, man, he's frustrated. And when I sit back and really read it and look at it and try to understand what he's saying, I worry about it, man, because it just really can weaken your immune system when you have anger and you have stress and you don't have a peace of mind. And I'm telling you from experience because I've been through it, man. But anyway, y'all keep cool. More to come on old Terence Spence. Terence Spence. See, I done took it to the stupid right. More to come on Terence Crawford. I'm going to leave it as that. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.